I'm Stephen Boyle from Easons.com, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome the fabulous Claudia Carroll to Eason today.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you for being here? And I wish that you could see a shot of the amount of books that were signed next door. I nearly fainted. There is a wall of books. There is an actual wall. But do you like the cover? I think it's my favourite cover so far.
It's all you ever wished for.
Get a close up of that. But I'm getting really good feedback about the cover because it's so sort of summary, and the prologue of the story is set on a bridge.
Oh, right.
The Halfpenny Bridge in Dublin. You know, where people put little sort of love locks. And it's about my two heroines who meet, and they inadvertently, neither one knows the other, and yet they're both about to change each other's lives. So I just absolutely loved it. And it's got a sort of summery vibe, isn't it? I want to be her. I want to sit on that, stand on that bridge and
you're saying it's book number 13?
Book number 13, yes.
Wow,
and it's out, it's going into the shops this Thursday, April the 14th. So I'm a bag of nerves. It's always
very excited.
Very nervous, excited, all of that.
Tell us a little bit about the story.
Well, All She Ever Wished For is about, it's based on, of all things, one of the questions I get asked a lot, Stephen, is where do you get your ideas for the books from? And the idea for this one came from, of all things, you will laugh at this, because it's not that kind of book at all, but the Graham Dwyer trial was going on when I was starting to write this. And it was just one of those you know how every now and then a court case will come along in this country that just, it seems like everybody is talking about, everybody has an opinion on. And the Graham Dwyer case, the facts of it I think were so salacious, and there was the court case just had everything. And you couldn't get into the back of a taxi in Dublin without being asked your opinion. Everyone had an opinion on it. And I just thought, what must it be like to be a juror on a really high profile trial like that? So now my court case isn't anything at all as salacious as the Graham Dwyer, but I just came up with the heroine called Tess, who is getting married in a few weeks, and she's getting married from home, kind of budget-friendly wedding, doing it all herself. It's a DIY wedding, and she's up to her eyes with lists and more lists and wedding stuff, and in the middle of all this, she's summoned for jury service, and she thinks, well, to hell with that. Now, if there's another thing coming, if they think I'm serving. So she goes into court and pleads everything she can to get out of it, and she's told, actually, sorry, no, your wedding's not for a month, you're serving. But it ends up being on this really high profile case. And it's about a socialite couple who are separated, but they're bickering over the couple's assets, including a painting that has a provenance going right back to, I don't want to put out any plot spoilers, but I suppose a touchstone of mine would have been the Nigella Lawson, Charles Saatchi case recently, about 2 years ago, where he took her to court, and it's difficult to remember the facts of the case, but I think we all just remember that awful image of him grabbing her by the throat, and it was just awful. Or the Paul McCartney Heather Mills case, that just everybody seemed to have an opinion on. And this heroine, she goes along and she just thinks, guilty, whatever, get out of here. But as the case goes on, she gets more and more sucked in. And I was really interested in the idea that you could be locked in a jury room with 11 other total strangers from all walks of life, and you're locked in until you reach a verdict, and that's it. And you're told all these things like, well, don't Google, don't go online, don't read about the case, don't discuss it. But in this digital age,
very difficult.
It's very difficult. So I suppose that was a touchstone as well when I was writing the book. But there's a love interest there, of course, and it mightn't necessarily be the guy that Tess is getting married to. But really good fun to research. I spent a lot of time in the Central Criminal Courts. You know the one you see on the news down at Parkgate Street?
Yes, indeed.
You see it on the news a lot. You see, Francesca Cummin or one of these in the lashing rain and reporting. And I'll give you a laugh. I was going in one day, and I was going in at about 8 o'clock one morning, and there was a huge queue, massive queue. People like you and me, on their laptops, with their phones, on their, with their Starbucks coffee. Huge queue, snaking all the way down the steps of the court and all the way up Parkgate Street towards the park. And I said to the jury selection officer, are they queuing for jury service? And she started laughing. And she said, no, they're queuing to get seats on the public gallery of the Graham Dwyer trial. And I was asked, did I want to go in and have a look at what was going on? And I couldn't. I couldn't even, I found it hard to even read about that case. Never mind sit in. But I thought, if you were a juror, it's almost like you're watching an episode of Judge Judy, and yet it's somebody's life, and you've got to make a decision that's going to affect the next 20 years possibly of somebody else's life. And it's huge. I've never been selected for juries.
You've never been on a jury?
No, I kind of wouldn't mind if I was, but I think they don't like actors. So actors go in and go, no, I'm doing a play. I'm irreplaceable, I am. You know, and they go, yeah.
But
how
it
about
is,
you? Have you ever been
I was on a jury
really?
once, yeah.
What was the case? So you're allowed to
I can't really say, but it was really interesting. It was a very interesting case. But yeah, no, it is. It's a fascinating experience. It's a really kind of engrossing, and but you're very aware of the huge responsibility that you have as well, obviously, because as you say, it is somebody's life. I'm interested from that point of view where you said that came from the Graham Dwyer trial. Where do you usually get your inspiration? Do you always have like a notebook in your bag?
Anywhere. Absolutely anywhere and everywhere. You just never know where that spark is going to come from, really, you know. The book that I'm working on at the moment, which is, I hope you will have me back here on this very sofa next year to discuss, thank God, was actually based on, very loosely based on just a story I'd heard about a friend who reached out to help another friend. And you know when you do someone a good turn, and you do a favour for somebody, and then after a while you find that you're repeatedly doing favours for this person, and after a while you set out to do a good turn for someone else who needs help, and after a while this person just kind of, your help becomes taken for granted, and after a while you've almost got a cuckoo in the nest scenario. You've got somebody who you think, hang on a second, how did this happen? I'm being walked on, how did this happen? So a touchstone for that would have been, I don't know if you know the movie All About Eve, with Betty Davis. And one character in it just sets out to do, you know, to help a young struggling actor. And then before she knows where she is, this person is living her life. And she goes, how did this happen? So it's one of those stories, and it's funny, but since I started writing it and researching it, the number of people that are saying to me, oh my God, that happened to me. I did this with so-and-so, and then before I knew where I was, it was being expected I would do this, and then it was being presumed, and then they'd moved into my home, and you know,
give an inch.
So very interesting, very interesting.
We'll see that maybe sometime next year. Just one last thing. Obviously, we love our books here in Eason's. Any recommendations for anything that you've recently read?
I am in the middle of reading Cecilia Hearn's new young adult book,
Claude,
which I'm absolutely loving. I'm also a great lover of Emma Hannigan's new book, so I'm thoroughly enjoying. Actually, I think it was her book that came out last year, The Secrets We Share.
Yes.
So I've got a to-be-read pile that's probably about the height of the wall of books inside. I wish we could get a shot of the wall of the books.
We'll tweet a picture.
We will, and I will as well. But yeah, I read anything and everything. I read fiction, non-fiction, biography, cookbooks. A great route to chat about cookbooks and next door.
I know a lot of people who actually just read
Eason's,
cookbooks.
Your number one port of call for everything you need. Eason's.
There you go. And on that note, All She Ever Wished For is now available in all Eason stores and on easons.com. As Claudia said, she's signing tons of copies, so they'll be out and about as well. Claudia, thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
God, I wish they were all like Stephen. I wish all the interviewers were like Stephen. I'd have a very easy life.
See you soon.